सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Over to you, Gunj and Vidya.
Okay. Hey, Vidya, just a quick note. If you feel that I am too low, just let me know. Okay.
I will change the pitch. Don't worry. When
Okay.
I can change the pitch.
Okay. So, I learned a new word last night from Vidya. It's called Anuvalam, which means I guess it's each stanza. Is my
Anuvaka.
understanding.
Anuvaka.
So I'm going to do the first five Anuvalams, and then Vidya takes over from there. So I will start now. Om तच्चयोरावृणीमहे गातुं यज्ञाय गातुं यज्ञपते दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वं जिगातु भेषजं शन्नो अस्तु विपदे शञ्चतुष्पते ओम शांति शांति शांतिः ओम सहस्रशीर्षा पुरुषः सहस्राक्ष सहस्रपाद स भूमिं विश्वतो वृत्वा अत्यतिष्ठत् दशाङ्गुलम् पुरुष एवेदगं सर्वं यद्भूतं यच्च भव्यम् उदामृतत्वस्येषानः यदन्नेनातिरोहति एतावानस्य महिमा अतो ज्यायागिश्च पूरुषः पादोऽस्य विश्वाभूतानि त्रिपादस्यामृतं दिवि त्रिपादूर्ध्व उदयपुरुषः पादोऽस्येगाभवात् पुनः ततो विश्वं व्यक्रामत् शासनानशने अभि तस्माद् विराड जायत विराजो अधिपुरुषः स जातो अत्यरुच्यत पश्चात् भूमिमथो पुरः यत्पुरुषेण अविशा देवा यज्ञमतन्वत वसन्तो अस्यासीदाज्यम् ग्रीष्म इद्मः शरद्दविः सप्तास्यासन् परिधयः त्रिसप्तसमिधकृताः देवा यद्यज्ञन्तन्वानाः अबध्नन् पुरुषं पशुं तयज्ञं परिहिषि प्रोक्षन् पुरुषं जातमग्रतः तेन देवा यजन्ता साध्या ऋषयश्च ये तस्मात् यज्ञात् सर्वहुतः संवृतं वृषजाज्यं पशुगश्चागश्चक्रे वायव्यान् आरण्यान् ग्राम्याश्च ये तस्मात् यज्ञात् सर्वहुतः ऋचः सामानि जज्ञिरे छन्दागिंसि जज्ञिरे तस्मात् यजुस्तस्मादजायत तस्मादश्वा जायन्त ये केचो भयादतः गावोह जज्ञिरे तस्माज्जाता जावयः यत्पुरुषं व्यददुः कतिधा व्यकल्पयन् मुखं किमस्य कौ बाहु कावुरूपादा उच्येते ब्राह्मणोऽस्य मुखमासीत् बाहुराजन्यकृतः
ऊरु तदस्य यद्वैश्यः पद्भ्यागुं शूद्रो अजायत चन्द्रमा मनसो जातः चक्षुः सूर्यो अजायत मुखादिन्द्रश्चाग्निश्च प्राणात् वायुरजायत नाभ्या आसीदन्तरिक्षं शीर्ष्णोऽद्यौ समवर्तत पद्भ्यां भूमिर्दिशश्रोत्रात् तथा लोकागुम् कल्पयन् वेदाहमेतं पुरुषं महान्तम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसस्तु पारे सर्वाणि रूपाणि विचित्य धीरः नामानि कृत्वाभिवदन्यदास्ते धाता पुरस्ताद्यमुदा जहारा शक्रप्रविद्वान् प्रदिशश्च तस्रः तमेवं विद्वान् अमृत इह भवति नान्यः पन्था अयनाय विद्यते यज्ञेन यज्ञमयजन्त देवाः तानि धर्माणि प्रथमान्यासन् ते हनाकं महिमानः सचन्ते यत्र पूर्वे साध्या सन्ति देवाः अभ्यः सम्भूतपृथिव्यैरसाच्च विश्वकर्मणः समवर्तताधि तस्य त्वष्टा विदधत् रूपमेति तत्पुरुषस्य विश्वमाजानमग्रे वेदाहमेतं पुरुषं महान्तम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसस्तु सत्परस्तात् तमेवं विद्वान् अमृत इह भवति नान्यः पन्था विद्यते यनाय प्रजापतिश्चरति गर्भे अन्तः अजायमानो बहुधा विजायते तस्य धीरा परिजानन्ति योनिम् मरीचीनां पदमिच्छन्ति वेधसः यो देवेभ्य आतपति यो देवानां पुरोहितः पूर्वो यो देवेभ्यो जातः नमो रुचाय ब्राह्मये रूपं रुचं ब्रह्मन् जनयन्तः देवा अग्रे तदब्रुवन् यस्त्वैवं ब्राह्मणो विद्यात् तस्य देवा आसन् वशे ह्रीश्च ते लक्ष्मीश्च पत्न्यौ अहोरात्रे पार्श्वे नक्षत्राणि रूपम् अश्विनौ व्याप्तम् इष्टं मनीषाणाम् अमुं मनीषाणाम् सर्वं मनीषाणाम् ॐ
Om Shanti
शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति
Shanti.
Hey, awesome. Awesome.
Excellent.
Both of you. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Vidya, you're
Beautiful.
muted.
Beautiful, yeah.
Thank you.
Hey,
That was
thank you. So we never practice. This is our practice session also.
No, it came off very well. Yeah. That's what
I
I'm
thought
editing.
to do this, but the Shruti for this and the other one were not okay, so I stopped.
Oh, that's fine. I think we really enjoyed both of you chanting today. It was really good fun.
Hey, Vidya, I would love to hear the Veena, sing the Purusha Sukhtam. So maybe you can record and send.
I'll just try one. But I
Yeah,
have
try it.
Yeah,
Try
yeah,
it.
sure.
Yeah.
So I'll start from the beginning, just a little bit, and see if you can follow that.
Shantam.
Did you follow?
Yeah.
Yes.
Uta Amrita. Next line is Uta Amrita.
Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic.
Very nice.
Yeah, Vidya sent me a message saying you need to let me know how low you are going to sing so I can keep up the same thing. I have no idea. I'm not trained in music or anything, so I just told her I'm going to sing as high as I can, and we'll
Thank you
just
for the
wing it.
yes.
Yeah.
Now, why male and female don't sing together in the sense that we cannot, and that's fine
Yeah.
too. In fact, it's so funny. Sometimes with Chitra, when I sing, my pitch is much higher than hers, and she starts with low and we keep on going high. Every time one Anuvakam is changed, we go up and down.
It's always the same issue when, two people want to pair up to do, right? Even me and Rajesh, last time we were discussing the same thing. Which pitch to take, the low or the high or the medium or whatever.
And he's talking about a pitch with somebody who doesn't understand the M of music.
No.
Okay.
Hey, also, I was looking at Spotify and some YouTube and for Purusha Sukhtam, and I came across, I mean, obviously there are hundreds of them out there. And there are so many, there's a whole spectrum of pitches you can sing this in. And then if you start low, the problem is there are a lot of lower things that come in the mantras, so it becomes very difficult. So you're better off starting high. At least that much I could gather.
Actually,
Okay.
there are three swaras, right? Udata and Udata and Sari. But still, it makes such a big difference.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. With the treat, I think we can continue with what we discussed last week. I missed the last 30 minutes, but anyone can start off from wherever.
Rajesh, we obviously got distracted since you were not there. So we were discussing more of creation in general, the theories we know. So you'll have to bring this back to the discussion.
You were all over the place. Yeah.
Okay, so where did we stop at the creation? Which part of the stage did we stop at last week?
Actually, we were talking about, or Alpana was talking about, what comes to an is beginningless but comes to an end. What is beginningless but does not come to an end? Obviously, Brahman, and the relationship between the upadis, and that all of them ultimately are mithya, and the reality is the same for all, or all are the same. Alpana, wouldn't that be correct?
Absolutely. And we were saying that that's why we have multiple description of how the creation came into existence, because it's not true. If it was true and factually, then it would have been one consistent one across scriptures. So that's why I don't think we can relate to exactly where we ended within the Purusha Sukta.
That's a good start actually for today's satsang, because then it sort of gives us let me say scriptural evidence that the creation is mithya.
And Swami Dayananda always pointed out in these discussions that the Upanishads was not consistent. There's a 3-element model, there's a 5-element model for this very reason. Nobody should get caught up in thinking, this is objectively real. No more than you dream anyway.
Right. Yeah. Actually, I've found that very helpful ever since I got introduced to the concept of creation as per the scriptures, and moving away from, let's say, the Big Bang theory that I was sort of educated in, I would say, or miseducated in, whichever way that you want to put it in. I think it sort of helped me to really get a better understanding of how the dream world and the real world are similar. It sort of, when you start meditating upon that, you really know that, in dream as well, the eras, the time spans, they move like flitting speed, and characters move within flitting speeds, and all the time you are there in the dream without, I remember having asked this question in this group some time back, saying that, have you ever dreamt of any dream where you were not in the dream? I don't think that you can ever be in a dream that you are not there in the dream. So you are there in the dream, and you're dreaming, and the dream goes across multiple eons, spans, life cycles, all in a flit of a second. And you sort of step back and say, okay, that's how the real world is today. Everything is going on in exactly like the way that the dream is going on, except that in whatever perception that we have, the time span seems to be different, the spaces seems to be different and all that. And then I think it's a perfect analogy.
I think also what it shows is that all is consciousness. And that's link as well with Brahman, Ishvara, Maya, that again, for me, I always come back to there is no second thing. So I know Alpana likes the fact that Brahman does nothing, no action. That's why you need Ishvara in the form of Maya, which is then Mithya. But I also think it's very helpful in showing how everything is connected to everything, which I think is important for anyone walking this earth to appreciate. Nothing is independent. And also, it helped me to understand also what is subtle. Even the mind is subtle, the subtle body, because there is no evidence, not evidence, because it doesn't appear in the waking world, doesn't make it unreal. It's just as real. It is also manifestation and also mithya. And appreciating that, very helpful to me.
Yeah.
Quick thought. I mean, the point you were making, Rajesh, about the Big Bang. I mean, isn't there some sort of a parallel with sort of how the creation took place following Pralaya, for example? That it came in, it was, when Pralaya happened and then there was creation, it could have been a Big Bang. It could be like, when Big Bang in my mind is like something happened in a split second or a microsecond or whatever, right? So to that extent, that's how I try to sort of correlate the two. It may not be in the same way that the material sort of people look at it, but it's similar, isn't it? Or it could be similar, not similar. It is similar. It could be similar.
Ajay, so there I would say what I, learning about Purusha, Sukhtam and others as Brahman, what I see is that we always have an objective of start and end, correct? Like how you're saying pralaya and then another pralaya. It starts again. Those I find, yeah, it's good. But how about thinking in the other way? There's no start and there's no end. So when you think in those ways, then you don't compare things like Big Bang and other theories, and you don't even have to go there. So
no, I see what you're saying. I mean, there is a linearity to how the science looks at it.
Okay.
Whereas for us, it's circular. So that's a fair point. But I'm just thinking like within that sort of circularity, there are points in which sort of the world manifests and then dissolves.
Yeah, so actually that's a very beautiful way of thinking, in the sense that even if a point is a circle, and then if you expand, that's also becomes circle, and then if you contract, still it is the same circle.
Correct, yeah. I'm sorry, the other thought which I had, sorry, Gunz and Kishore, was I'm sort of very intrigued by the allegory around sort of how Purusha Suktam talks about the body as a human form, if you will, and then talks about the Raman Shatyas, etc. Or, things came out of the eye and the mouth and whatever else, right? So it's something which is kind of just very intriguing as to why all of this was sort of, built around a human form. So I think if you go into some of the commentaries, you realize there is some logic, at least some logic that people have rationalized around. But the whole sort of thing sort of is very, somewhat sort of abstract and interesting in some ways.
Yeah, I think the simplest explanation for that is I think it's only the humans who has the capability to understand the subtlety of what the scriptures are speaking about. Maybe the other animals or birds or whatever, they may not understand. We do not know that. But at least there is quote unquote proven evidence that humans can understand it. So maybe expressing it for the benefit of humans makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, even for example, this whole thing around spring and summer and autumn and how those kind of are weaved into the description is, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
It's mind blowing. Anyway,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to make one quick point, Ajay. So two quick comments here. One is I've just checked out a book called The Janus Point. Janus is, if you know this Greek or I think it's
Two-faced
Roman, one
God.
of those mythologies. Sorry,
Two-faced God.
Two-faced God. Yeah, exactly. So the scientist he uses an analogy in that book, and it's about time. You know, if you take the basic science, right, the physics, if you put t equals minus t everywhere in the equations, all the laws will hold true. Okay, so it is uh, the laws as we know it. They are basically time symmetric. Okay, and but in reality, we know that it's not, right? Because you cannot, for example, I can't grow all my hair back. So, um, so it is irreversible and it is time asymmetric. Therefore, the laws are not exactly correct. So the proposal is that the notion of time itself is probably limited to our experience, the way we describe it today, which the claim is that is wrong, because there might have been another version of time, another version of the universe, and it keeps there are two and multiple phases of this thing going on at the same time, and we just happen to be experiencing through our minds this one. Hey, Kishore, go ahead. I'll join back. I just need to do something here real quick. Thank you. There's one more comment I had, but I'll come back and make the comment. Thanks.
Sure. No, I was just going back to Ajay's question. I had the same question when Rajesh mentioned that. So the way I think about it is exactly, I think you already mentioned it, which is that it's a point. Maybe science as it exists today, science is evolving. We cannot think of it as this is it, right? I mean, it is just, if you zoom out, it is just a small, what do you say, probably evolved in the last few hundreds of years at the most, and most of it being towards the end. So it is evolving, and this is probably where our understanding is today, that it is the beginning. But maybe science will eventually come to the fact that it's a cycle, and there is no beginning, right? So it is a cycle, it's an event or a milestone in that cycle, but nothing more, right? But maybe science has only arrived at, we've found something, but it's the beginning, is what the understanding is today. But what happened before that is not explained, right? So,
That's right.
That was my point.
Yeah, I agree with you. And also, just taking a digression from what we're talking about, right? One of the most amazing movies that I've watched is this movie called Interstellar by Christopher Nolan. Okay. If you have not seen that, you should see that. The way that he connects the concept of time being cyclic is very, very beautiful in that movie. Where initially the kid who sort of becomes the scientist and all that stuff. I forget her name now. What's her name? Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway. Initially, she sort of sees some books getting moved in the library and all that, and sort of giving a message to her. And that's how the movie starts. And finally, it turns out that it's her, not Anne Hathaway, it's somebody else. And finally, it turns out that that it's her dad who's gone to the black hole, who's not black hole or whatever that Gargantula, whatever that, and he does the time travel, and he's communicating across.
There's a black hole, Guntax.
Oh, it is a black hole. Okay.
Gargantua is a black hole.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's a very beautiful way that Christopher Nolan expresses the concept of time being cyclical. Very, very beautifully taken. You should check it out.
Time in our Shastra is defined as relationship between Brahman and Maya.
You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah.
Just time or time and space?
Just time.
Just time.
But you said relationship between Brahman and Maya.
Maya.
I get my head around
I
this.
thought both space and time existed in Maya, Alpana, no?
That's right. So space is also created then later because space is part of that 5 elements, right? So that's the projection of Maya. But time itself is just a relationship between Brahman and Maya.
When we're saying that,
time existed before Maya. Not like that. Okay. It's not the chronology. Okay.
No, but let me say Maya represents form, and time is what happens to a form. A form is subject to time. Brahman is not subject to time. Same would be true of space. Space, time are, and all attributes, of course, are all tied to forms. Maya is that which manifests the forms. So I would say, if I understand this, then that would be the relationship. Because when there's no projection, there's no time, there's no space.
So almost the other way around from what you said today, which is because of Maya, you understand time. Otherwise, there is no time.
Both are true.
Correct. So because any change is what tells us time. There has to be some change because of which we perceive time. So if you think of it from the black hole perspective, there is one state where there is no passing of time. There's nothing. If you read that book, The Black Hole, there's a state, I mean, that's theoretical, but where there'll be no passing of time, nothing will happen. Because there's no change there. There's no...
Why do we say then that Brahman is related to Maya through time? What was the statement again, Alpana? No.
Relationship between Brahman and Maya is time.
Okay. Alpana, are you saying that because Brahman is never changing, there is no time to...
Because nothing is changing.
Nothing is...
Time is perceived by change. Maya is the one which is changing. Maya cannot exist independent of Brahman. So that relationship is actually time. Because space is still one of the elements which are projected by Maya. But then what is time? So that way time was defined was, it's the Brahma Maya ka sambandh is time.
Interesting. Very nice, actually.
Very profound.
When you say in Hindi, it makes big difference.
More sense, yeah.
Yeah.
The question is that what happens to Ishvara then in this sambandh?
So Ishwar is, as soon as you bring in Maya, Ishwar comes, right?
That's Brahman plus Maya.
Ishvara is Brahman plus Maya. Brahman plus Maya.
Yeah.
But I thought that is time. Then what is the
Ishwar
relationship
is
between Ishwar and time?
No, that's in 10th also, right? I am the Kal. In 10th chapter, one of his Vibhuti, he said, I am Kal.
Correct.
Got it. Great. Thank you.
In the beginning of every Mahabharata episode, there will be the wheel of time and the voice will say, I am time.
That's
the starting of every episode.
Yeah.
VP, you did not come to the common room often enough. Sorry.
The sleep was more important on Sunday morning.
Sunday morning. Yeah. Hey, I had one more comment, which, sorry, I got interrupted. But one other comment. So I'm listening to some, like, this is not the science aspect of it, but I'm listening to some stages. I think, Alpana, you had referred to Panchadasi some time back. And I'm finding it very, very beautiful because so much clarity that the Panchadasi lectures, I'm still going through them, but one of the things that I'm listening to right now is the 7 stages. So the stages of this seeking that a person goes through is Vidyaranya Swamiji, he splits it into 7 stages, and the 5th, 6th, and 7th are what he calls paroksha, and then removal of shoka, and then aparoksha. So basically, paroksha means we say that Brahman exists. So as soon as you say that, you're separating yourself, right? Because when we say something exists, that is apart from ourselves. So the next stage is, because we know that Brahman exists, there is a kind of calm and peace that comes to the mind. So all this sorrow and everything fades away. And then the 7th and the last stage is that aparoksha, where you realize that you are that Brahman itself. So that is the stage where time will actually fade away. If we keep saying Brahman exists, then time will always be there for us because we are separating, like what Rick was saying. If we have to keep reminding ourselves. So I'm finding that very helpful to understand, like, this paroksha, that those last 3 stages. Anyway, so that I just wanted to make that.
Gun's 5th is aparoksh, then 6th is shok nivritti, and
and 7th is
7th is tripti.
Tripti. Sorry, yeah, I kind of muddled them up. Yeah. And the first one is Ajay. I think you just put it. The ignorance starts with the ignorance itself.
I think the 10th man story is great to remember it. To remember these 7 stages. When the sage says 10th man exists, that is paroksha gyan. Then this 5th stage is you are that 10th man. So then he knows, oh, I am the one. And then 6th is that removes the sorrows completely. Even the 4th one had the sorrows begin to fade away because you trust the sage, but it's still not 100% gone that, oh, where is it? There is some anxiety still left. So only when you know I am the 10th person, the shock goes away, and then 7th is you're all happy.
Yeah. So SPG has a full lecture on this one.
The lamp of bliss.
Yeah.
I can't remember the one, but he has spent the whole hour talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that he brought this up even last year in some of his lectures here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of this constant reminder that you keep telling yourself whatever works for us, right? I'm finding this very helpful from paroksha to aparoksha to this shok nivritti, and then the final stage.
Yeah.
But if we can, I think
SPG's lecture is on Panchadashi, Ajay?
Sorry?
SPG's lecture is on
I think
Panchadashi.
No, this is, I think, what Alpana was saying. There's probably one lecture which is titled The Lamp of Bliss. Alpana, if that's right.
Yeah.
So it's probably worth listening because it kind of puts the whole sort of 10th man story, which is otherwise very dry and meaningless in some ways, into some really serious Vedantic meaning. So
actually, he has a series of just 5 lectures. The first one is Lamp of Bliss, in which he has explained this. And it's actually on Brihadaranyaka Shloka, 4.1.12 or 1.4.12, some combination, which represents these 7 stages, actually. which talks about these 7 stages. So it's just one shloka and description of that in 5 lectures, but amazing series. If you haven't heard it, Uday, you should. I can post it. I'll post the link to the playlist.
Found it. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, I just wanted to mention one thing. In these 7 stages, right, you can kind of quickly, by situation, what I'm finding is if you go in the reverse, you start with Tripti. If you're not feeling Tripti, then you're definitely not in the 7th stage. Then you go to the next one. And are you completely devoid of all shok or shokam? No. Then go one step. Keep going in reverse. And then you can kind of locate, put a range for yourself. I'm finding it very helpful that way.
So most of us are in 1 to 3, is it?
What's that?
I said most of us are in like oscillating between 1 to 3, I guess.
I think fourth definitely we have Paroksh Gyan, that there is Brahman.
1,
Correct,
2.
correct. Yeah, Paroksha is
3. That's 3, you mean, sorry. Paroksh
No,
is
that's
3.
fourth.
Right?
First is a Gyan. Second
Oh
is
yeah, sorry, yes. Yeah, 4. Sorry, I meant 3 and
Third
4.
is
Yeah.
Bhranti, and fourth is this one.
Yeah. Bhranti is same as
we
Vikshepa,
might
right?
be in 4, Alpana, but when I think in the office, a lot of times we go below 4.
Yeah.
At least
in
I
day-to-day we are like 1 to 3 actually. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
True.
It's so hard. And Rick, you refer to Swami D's notes. He says Atma is the biggest joke in the world. So people will say you are completely nuts when you talk about it to anyone. So don't talk about it to anyone. Keep it to yourself. But as long as you can keep telling yourself that would be helpful. I found that kind of funny the way he puts it.
And interestingly, these are 7 states of reflected consciousness. So they're not 7 states. Usually we tend to think of Gyan. No, Gyan doesn't have any states. This is 7 states of reflected consciousness, which goes through, these.
So Alpana, would you say?
So you guys said once you get to 5, I'm assuming 6, 7 just follow like real quick.
Yeah. It's just your sanskar, your vasanas, your habits may enter the 6th and 7th stage, but it should follow pretty quickly.
So yeah,
hey,
okay.
That is also very helpful, Alpana. Thank you for that. Because this Panchadasi brings clarity there also. I think like when you say Aham Brahmasmi, like what is like who is actually saying that? Who is going through these stages? And that's the reflected consciousness.
Yeah.
So
No, I think I got the answer. When you said reflected consciousness and explain the 5th and 6th that will follow, I got my answer. Just a reassurance. I think the 3rd and the 4th are the difficult ones that Gunz was saying. We keep oscillating. The more we come to 4 and then try 5 is when the transition hopefully would take place.
Alpana, yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, actually, even 3rd is not hard. 3rd is a state where you are in Brahm. So that's happening naturally. We're not doing anything for that, right? Yeah. It's only for the 4th to have inclination and trust that what Shastra is saying correct. That's why 4th is the difficult one, to accept Vedas as the Praman, to have faith in that. That is the hard part. And that is what requires Karma Yoga Upasana. Only when we have a little bit of that done, we will have faith that what the scriptures are saying is correct. Then we accept Brahman exists.
So quick one, Alpana. I mean, you said these are 7 stages of reflected consciousness. Isn't whether it is Avarna or Vikshepa or even Paroksha Gyan, isn't that in the subtle mind?
Yeah, so the reflected consciousness cannot exist without mind.
So that's the instrument versus
Yes.
it. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
But because mind, if you just say mind, then mind is jada. It cannot have anything. So that's
So
why
that
they
has
say reflected consciousness. And reflected consciousness cannot exist without mind, and also it cannot exist without original consciousness. Because reflection will need those two things. So hence they become that they're already included in it then.
Alpana, I think last time we spoke about that we will continue our discussion on Tanmatras. I'm waiting for that.
Oh, okay.
And I know you shared a small page. I don't know whether
yes.
If you can just take us through that, it'll be nice.
Yeah, that'll be great because a lot of it is we've heard, listened, but you've put it beautifully. So if you want to just maybe pull that up and just walk us through, that'll be fantastic.
Rajesh, sorry, you wanted to say something?
Rajesh, you have something? Then go ahead. You finish it, then I can.
No.
So you can run away after this.
I was getting to another topic. That's fine. Let's complete this.
No, because this is also another topic. So if you want, Rajesh, you go ahead. I will find the file again. Yeah.
Okay. So while you're bringing it up, here's what I want to share. Right, I'm bringing our attention back to Purusha Sukta and the thing that we're talking about. So the couple of things which yesterday I posted something on a sixth standard class textbook that's by National Open University. You might want to glance through that. But when I listened to a couple of lectures on Purusha Sukta, and of course some of them are in Telugu, and people who understand Telugu will appreciate that. So one of the things that talks about the Shanti mantra, right? In this particular thing is a Rigveda Shanti mantra, and there it talks about it talks about swasti means like swast. I think that we discussed that word sometime back, right? Swasti is swasti for all the manusha, which is the human beings. Then it says shanno astu dvipade, all the two-footed animals. Okay, they be well and nice. Then it also says Shan Chatushpade, which is all the four-footed animals. Chatush is four, Chatushpade, all four-footed animals. But the way that we need to interpret that is, there are many other legged animals and creatures in the world, like centipedes and others, and some of them probably don't have legs like snakes. So how do does it mean that there's a discrimination that's happening between only the two-footed animals and the four-footed animals in this shloka, and the others are being discriminated against? Therefore, they are lowly creatures. I think that's a very important point what we need to look at it, because according to the scriptures, right, they're all written in a poetic way, and the way that you need to interpret that is not necessarily to say that they're being discriminated, but to say that they're all contained in these words itself. For example, Chatushpade includes everybody else, and specifically why Dvipade, two-footed animals. That's because the whole Vedas and everything is designed for liberation of the human mind construct from what the sorrowful construct, what we go through it. Therefore, it is specifically mentioned there. But Chatushpade is a word that encompasses not just the four-footed animals, but every other creature in the world. So that's one thing which I want to share to make sure that we are sort of arming ourselves with information when somebody says this kind of a thing, right? Then the other thing that I also want to say is when it comes to there's a word you probably would have come across this, which says that sashana nashane.
Nashane Abhi.
Okay, so when you break that word into the different components of Sanskrit words, right? It is ashana, anashana, the two key words. Like ashana and anashana is basically something which grows, something which does not grow. So the way that the entire creation is visualized is there are multiple ways that you can imagine, and that Purusha Sukta says. One way of imagining is this: just you can break the entire universe, creation of the universe, into two things: one that grows, one that doesn't grow.
Sentient and insentient, yeah.
Not sentient and insentient, because
Okay.
one that grows and that does not. And because the growth happens, then later on it goes and explains, says that growth will happen only because of food.
Food, yeah,
Okay.
correct.
And then it says food means what? Then food is basically Brahman. Then that's how it connects the whole thing. Okay. So therefore, what I'm saying is that, there are multiple ways, moving, unmoving, you can say it, and, but gross and not gross is a different explanation, because moving and unmoving is also a beautiful explanation of dividing the universe. But then the trees will come under the category of non-moving, but they're growing. Okay, therefore growing and non-growing is another category where you say, okay, the grows, they get food, they have to get some food. Where do they get from fruit? It's not necessarily the same food what we eat. Where is that food coming from? And when you break down that and go to that, sit down and logically try to understand it, then you'll come to a point saying that, okay, all of them are basically coming from the quote unquote 5 elements. And from where these 5 elements are coming from, the 5 elements are coming from nowhere else other than consciousness. And who is that consciousness? That's Aham. That's how you take the whole logical step. That's why this is used as a beautiful meditation practice.
I think that was beautiful, Rajesh. I think Purusha Suktam to me is kind of a summary for Taittiriya Upanishad, where it clearly, specified how you explained. So the whole thing is like a summary in Purusha Suktam. Alpana, back to you. I think it's important to discuss this, what you're showing.
No, we'll just quickly go through it. So on the top left, Brahman is the Vivarth Karan. So what is Vivarth Karan? Vivarth Karan is which doesn't undergo change on its own, but it is key for anything to appear. So when we say wall is, the isness belongs to the Brahman, whereas wall, which is the name and the form, everything, that belongs to Maya. So the isness part in anything that we perceive or see, the isness belongs to Brahman, and that is the Adhishtan, which is the substratum of the entire creation. So along with Brahman, all of this will happen. Then on the other side is Sat Rajtam, which is known as Prakriti, Pradhan, Maya loosely. All those names are interchangeably used, which is Trigunatmika. So the three gunas are Satrajtam. And in the Pradhan Avastha, when the creation is not there, they are in equilibrium. And at that time, there is no manifestation. That's when actually it is called, in the unmanifested state, Prakriti is known as Pradhan. Then if you just take the Satogun, the entire Satogun that exists in the cosmos, that along with Brahman is the Ishwar, and that is the efficient cause. So that's the one which is the intelligent cause to create the whole universe. But Ishwar by itself cannot do creation, because there needs to be some cause to create anything. And that's where these individuals come into play. They are made up of impure Sattvaguna. So they're still primarily Sattvaguna, but they have some impurities of some part of Rajas and Tamas, and that's why infinite number of combinations are possible, and we have infinite individuals around. And this Malin Sattvagun is the causal body, which is also known as Anandamay Kosh or Pragya. So I just wrote those names so that you may be hearing them in different places. This Ishwar is also known as Antaryami in some places. So this is the causal body at the cosmic level. This impure Sattvaguna, which is all the individual jivas, these are Vyashti, the macro level of individuals. Now, this is Jiva, and the Jada Prakriti that we see, the entire Jagat that's created, is made up of tamas. So now these gunas, they cannot exist in isolation. So when I say they are made up of tamas is primarily tamas. They all have some level of satagun and rajogun also. So it is primarily tamogun that, along with the individual's karmas, that becomes the material cause. So material really comes from the jada prakriti, and the cause to create what to project, because whatever is projected is for individuals to get certain experiences as a result of their karmas. So now this jada prakriti, the creation happens in this form as per the Taittiriya Upanishad. First, these subtle elements are created. So these are not the elements that we see. So they are in a subtle form. They cannot be experienced. But the 5 elements that are there are, so instead of saying space, air, fire, water, and earth, we call them by their primary attribute. What's their primary attribute? For space, it is sound. For air, it is touch. For fire, it is form. For water, it is taste. And for earth, it is smell. So the tanmatras, Subbu, that you were asking, are known as these attributes, which are nothing but the subtle form of all the 5 elements. Now, the way the creation happens is, first, space was created. 1/10 of this space gets converted into air. 1/10 of air gets converted into fire. 1/10 of fire into water, and 1/10 of water into earth. So that means there is more space, lesser air. And the other thing to note is, because air is produced from space, it will also have the attribute of the parent or the grandparent. So in space, there's only sound. In air, there is sound and there is touch. So you can hear when the wind blows.
Wow. Okay.
Similarly, fire will have sound and touch, the heat we can, this thing, and the form, what you can see. Then water will have sound, touch, form, and taste. And similarly, earth will have sound, touch, form, taste, and smell, which is its own attribute. So one unique attribute of its own, and the other it inherits from the lineage. Now, these are the subtle elements. From these subtle elements, if you combine all the satogun, so even though they are primarily tamogun, but they will still have some element of satogun, rajogun as well. So from the satogun will come the antahakaran. Now, the way to understand is, satogun is knowledge. So to know any of these elements, you need to have the satogun coming from that element. And when it is combined, because the mind can hear, touch, it's the one which deciphers whatever signal it gets from the 5 sense organs. So it is the combined. So combined satogun will create the antahakaran, which is man, buddhi, chitta, and ahankar. So these 4 things. Now, from the individual subtle element, when you take the satogun, the 5 sense organs will come. So from the space will come ear, from the vayu will come skin to get the sensation. Then from the fire will come eyes, which can see the form. From the water element will come tongue, which can taste. Now, tongue is interesting. It has skin to get the texture, so it can touch, and it also has the water ka. Yeah, so it is actually a dual. It has two what do you call elements? The skin and the water thing as well. And then the nose is for the smell. Now, if you take the rajas of all of these individually, so vak is to speak. That's from the space. So because you hear, and vak, and this organ of action is how it will respond to whatever signal it has. So what you hear, then you speak. So that comes from the space. Similarly, tvacha is the touch. So either you will grasp it or leave it. So that's the hands, so pani. And then what you see, either you go to it and acquire it, or you move away, so the legs. Then the taste is the procreation organs, and the smell one is linked to the excretory organ. Then the combined Rajogun. So we have combined Satogun creating the Antahakaran, and then individual Satogun creating the sense organs, then individual Rajogun creating the organs of action, and combined Rajogun creates the Pran. Because Rajogun is linked to activity. Satogun is linked to knowledge. So this is what will give us knowledge, and this is what will act. And the 5 pranas, which are like the Antahakaran was 4, there are mainly 5 pranas. There are more, but we consider mainly 5. So pran is for respiratory, apan is excretory, saman is digestive, vyan is circulatory, and udan is either reversing or emergency response like hiccuping, or at the time of death, this is the one going
correct.
to
Apana,
take it.
basic. Udana actually takes over.
Udan, yeah. So these are the physiological functions. So this whole thing from Antahakaran, the Gyanendriya, Karmendriya, and Pran, these things make the subtle body. So all these are coming from the Tanmatra. Now, the world is created by grossification of these 5 elements. So we are able to see or sense space because it has the fire element in it. So that's what gives it, we can perceive it. So half of its own and 1/8 of the other 4. So half of Akash plus 1/8 of Vayu, 1/8 of Tej, 1/8 of Jal, and 1/8 of Prithvi together will form the Akash which we can perceive. So similarly, Vayu is half of Vayu and then 1/8 of the other. So then this is the one which can be perceived. So the whole Annamaya Kosh, our gross body, and the whole Jagat that we see is made up of these grossified objects. And this is known as the Annamaya Kosh. Within the subtle body, there is Pranamaya Kosh and Vijnanamaya Kosh. So Vijnan is the one which is Buddhi and Ahankar with the Gyanendriya, and Manomaya Kosh is mind and Chit, memory, with the Gyanendriya, and the Pranamaya Kosh is the entire Pran and the organs of action. That makes the Pranamaya Kosh. So the subtle body is also known as Hiranyagarbha at cosmic level, and at the individual level, it is known as Tejas. So that's the whole creation.
Beautifully
Awesome.
explained.
Hey,
Beautiful.
Alpana,
Yes. Sakuba, you had a question. You raised your hand.
Yeah. So, Alpana, thank you so much. I think we should, Rajesh, one request. I think this portion of the video, if you can just post it as video itself in your YouTube, it will be great. We can referral instead of just posting it as a a normal podcast. Only this portion, if you can put it as a video, it will be great. So
yeah,
one question.
I give that a shot.
Yeah. So one question, Alpana, so this Antahakaran as well as this Gyanendriya. So that Antahakaran, I understand it is still at a subtle level, but the what you put as ear, skin, eyes, tongue, are we talking about
the capabilities?
Capabilities.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because the manifestation of not all of them happens in all species. That depends on the gross body that we get. So whether we are able to use any of these faculties is based upon the form we take. So in human form, yes, all these are available mostly. But say amoeba will not have, say, separate, I don't know which organ it has, or others. Yeah.
Thank you.
But they are available in the subtle body for all. Whether it is manifested or is available, they may be dormant because there's no expression. So that comes in the gross body.
So even for Jud kind of a thing, right? That is available? Like
so Jud, we say Jud is not there at all, in the sense like Himalaya also has Adhishtatri Devta. So there is a Devta which has taken the form of, say, Himalaya. So that Devata will have all these sense organs, yes.
Okay.
Just one more
But it's
question,
not,
Alpana. Not a question, more a request. I think last time you mentioned that your book that you read was Vichar Chandarodaya, which was primarily in Hindi, right?
yeah.
I've been trying to get an English version on the internet. I've not been able to, but if you can just give me a
We'll
link
post.
or even a book,
Yeah, it's a
which
book.
I can buy, that's fine.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I
I
just
think
want a link.
it's available in India. I bought it from Amazon.in. So
Okay,
it's
all right.
Hey,
will.
Alpana, my question was, you said that this first part, the ears, skin, eyes, come from the sattva gun, the pure sattva gun results in the mind and intellect, and the impure sattva gun results in ears, skin, eyes, tongue, etc.
No.
Of this thing, no?
No. So Antahakaran is the combined Satogun, so not individual. So it's the combined Satogun of all the elements, whereas the organs of perception are coming one from each. So from the space comes the ear faculty. From air comes the skin faculty. So from each individual Satogun.
Okay. So this was each individual sattva gun, and then you said the second box is from the rajogun of these individual
So this
elements.
part is individual.
Ah.
So each one, so from the space, because it's linked to sound. So it is the capability to speak. Whereas this is the combined Rajogun.
Combined rajogun. Okay.
It has
And
different functionalities. So it's the same person, but with different functionalities, I would say.
I'm just wondering why there's no separate set of things for the tamogun. There's nothing for tamogun.
So Tamogun is mainly this which is grossified and is converted into the whole universe, the perceptible universe.
Oh, that is the tamogun, is it? Okay, that I missed. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
Including the body, isn't it then?
Yeah,
The
all the
physical body.
bodies. Yes, all the gross bodies, all the
So
bodies
it's
that we
primarily
know,
tamogun.
it's primarily Tamogun, yeah.
Kalpana, where you
This
said
actually is appears in several texts, right, Alpana?
It does.
Yeah.
It
The
does. Yeah, I remember
grossification,
saying it.
grossification appears in many. I think even in Tattva Bodh, grossification is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tattva
Yeah,
Bodh
so
classification I clearly remember, but even this ear,
Yeah,
skin,
even
eyes,
this
and
one is there in
yeah,
many.
so
I've seen it before.
in the context of yoga, it is mentioned that this comes from Sankhya, but it is there in Katha Upanishad as well.
Yeah, Sankhya is slightly different. It says the Mehet comes first and Ahankar comes second. Whereas in this, we are saying that Antakaran comes from the subtle elements. So the elements come first. That's the main difference. And I think even Pran comes much earlier as per Sankhya. So those are the 2-3 minor differences, but still very
But
similar.
generally, it's yeah.
Sorry, remind me, Kalpana, what is Mehet?
Mehet is the cosmic intelligence.
Okay, yes.
Which at here we say at the total of all individuals antahakaran is the Mehet itself. Yeah.
Okay.
So
a couple of
I have
quick
one.
ones. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Ajay, go ahead, please.
No. I had other questions. So yeah.
So just related to Mehet and intelligence, one understanding I had, and I wanted to clarify, is when we say the Vignan Maya Kosh, right, that we all of us also have, my understanding is that that is the same for all, in the sense that layer is the same for everyone. It's the Manomaya Kosh, which is different, but the Vignanmaya Kosh is nothing but the cosmic intelligence and a part of that cosmic intelligence perceived through the body, right? Through our subtle body, right? But the Manomaya Kosh is what can be affected by the vasanas and the samskaras, and hence the combination, the guna combination is very different, and hence the nature and personalities of people are different. But the Vignanmaya Kosh that's behind it is the same.
Actually,
Is that understanding correct?
so for this particular one, even the Vigyanmay is different because Ahankar stays in Vigyanmay. So Ahankar is identifying with each individual. In this particular context, we say Anandmay Kosh is same for all. Anandmay, there's no difference.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there may be a subtle difference in the way, what's included
Yeah,
in
I remember. Yeah, I remember getting this aha moment when I was listening to Katha Upanishad by Swami G, when he mentioned that, and I was like, yeah, if you were to extend that concept, if that were true,
Yeah.
then it means that each one of us can tap into that cosmic intelligence. It's not that somebody is more intelligent than somebody else. However, it is our Manomai Kosha, which has the samskaras, and the impact of the samskaras and vasanas are felt there. And hence, we are not able to tap in to that layer beneath it. But we all have that layer beneath it that we can tap into. Hence, the potential is there for each one of us. We have to work on the samskaras to reduce the impurities there so we can tap into that, right? So that's kind of the aha moment I had when I heard it.
So you're right. Even in this context, yes, because Vijnanamay Kosh is part of that whole big this thing, you can tap into that, even if it is even in this representation where it's different for everybody, but you can very well tap into the cosmic chip that we call. The chip is there. You can tap into it, connect it, and then you can see the whole thing. Yeah. Which is the Hiranyagarbha. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, Ajay, you were saying?
Yeah, sorry, just looking at the chart again. So you said the sattva element, the subtle element, the tadmatra, that a tenth of sound goes to touch, etc., etc. So in some ways, the base tanmatra is the sound. The space, and everything flows from there. Is therefore everything else on the right a subset of?
Yes, and that's why we say sound is the most powerful thing, because you make any change here, it can run through everything. So it can influence everything. So that's why the whole, in Kashmiri Shaivism, the mantra Vigyan is based upon this concept only, that the moment you influence the space element through Shabda, you can bring about change in everything.
But they have qualities of their own as well, each of them.
Correct. But it can be influenced because they all inherit sound. So,
so they have individuality as well. Okay, so that's one question. The other thing was that, so, I think Uday talked about tamogun. So you've got Jar Prakriti, which is mainly tamogun.
Yeah.
So how do you go from there to the chart below? Is that?
Yeah. So when we say mainly tamogun, there is still satogun and rajogun in that, because these gunas cannot exist in isolation.
Yeah. So I understand that. My question is that from there, how do these five? So are they? Your sort of flowchart goes down to these five tanmatras.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you go from Jar Prakriti to these five tanmatras?
So from the Jar Prakriti, Maya projects. So because these are the causes. So
right.
The Maya, using what's required to be projected to give the fruits of actions of all the individuals, has to create, what will be or experience. So for that, it will first project sound using the tamogun from here. But because tamogun, it's mainly tamogun, but not pure tamogun, it will have some satogun. Because that satogun will enable us to get the knowledge of that sound. Otherwise, if there is no satogun in it, we'll never be able to get knowledge of it. So it's mainly tamogun, but within that, there is satogun and rajogun, which creates that. And then taking primarily even further more tamogun is what this Panchikaran and the whole universe.
Correct. So tamogun is at the root of all this anyway. Yeah. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then the final question I had was that when you say individuals right up there, is that Jiva?
Yeah. So this is Jiva and this is Ishwar. So
Got it.
in
Got it.
the 6 things we said, right? So Brahman,
Yeah.
this is Maya. Then
Mm-hmm.
together they will create
Sure.
Ishwar.
Mm-hmm.
Together these will create Jiva.
Mm-hmm.
Then the relationship or the sambandh between Brahman and Maya, which we called as time,
Mm-hmm.
and which is we don't differentiate between the two, is Anadi. And the difference between Ishwar and Jiva, we think these are very different. That is also Anadi. This
That's
sambandh is
beautiful.
very,
No,
yeah.
that's
So these,
beautiful because you explained to us earlier that the
those are the 6
thing is
Anadi
time.
things.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
time is also anadi in a way by
Yeah.
that inference. Beautiful. Thank you.
So the difference between Ishwar and Jiva is the ignorance, isn't it?
No, so the ignorance is this. Ignorance it is the highest level. But this is also an ignorance that they are different. But that's a next level of ignorance, if you may call it.
Okay, right.
Beautiful.
Anadi means time.
Without beginning.
Without beginning, right? Okay. Yeah.
Beginningless.
Anant is without end.
Right.
Yeah, can I go?
Yes, yes, Srini.
Yeah, so how is the the karma theory connected with this creation? So
Here. So along
my
with,
my 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 question is, if somebody is born with some deformities, maybe
yeah,
he's not able to listen or he's not able to see, it
yeah.
means that one of these panchabhutas is lacking, or
So the
it
gross
is
body is
available,
lacking.
but
Yeah, only the
okay.
gross body is lacking. So for that particular birth, the faculty is it's not fully available. In the
Okay,
subtle
so
body, it is all good. Our power is 20/20 in the subtle body, but because of the limitation in the gross body, it's not
okay.
manifested. Yeah,
So that is where the lack of it is there in the
yeah,
gross body.
correct.
Okay, so the the free will which we are given for every janma. So
Yeah,
like Kishore was asking. So I think it is the application of free will which will gradually lead us to better birth. Is I think one of the one of the conclusion which I can make, because
correct.
your prarabdha and free will always have a conflict. So sometimes you may have the prarabdha which is not able to completely what to say, your prarabdha will sometimes kill your free will, but sometimes if your prarabdha is weak, then you
Yeah,
can have a free will where you can overcome the prarabdha also. So that is
correct.
what
So prarabdha will give you situations. Free will is how you react to that situation.
to the situations. Okay,
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing.
Alpana, you shared this already, right, on WhatsApp?
Yeah,
I did. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Thank
Interestingly,
you so much.
Alpana,
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm not able to get the Gita shloka here, but there is a focus on one of the chapters where he speaks about Nada Brahman, and he says, Swami Chidbhavananda, I remember having read it, that he says that chanting Om and using sound as a mechanism to be getting closer to Brahman. There's something to that extent. I think you also explained that how sound can make an impact to all the others, which is also the reason why it is closer to more sattva, and therefore I would look at it that way, right?
True.
Hey, Alpana, I just joined late. How did you? That's a pretty powerful layout there. Is it like your notes, or you just like? I'm just trying to understand how you collected all that. A lot of
So
information.
it is from a book called Vichar
Chandrodaya.
Chandrodaya.
Oh, wow, awesome.
I just put it on one pager.
Oh,
It
fantastic.
actually goes into how then each element will bring about different even parts of the bodies, like how the earth element will create, the bones, the blood, and so each of the 5 elements are in the gross earth element, right? So how each one of them will bring about different things, and how, say, from Vayu will come different capabilities to move, to crawl, to do all of this. It's a very nice description. But it's in Hindi, and I did find the English book, so I did get it, but I haven't read it fully. But I think I did just skim through it, and it is a good translation of it. So it is available in English.
Is it available in Amazon, English version?
Yeah, I did get it here, but I think if you get it in India, it's much cheaper.
Can you share the name of the book, please,
Yeah,
Alpana?
share it, yeah.
I will.
Thank you.
English version, Alpana. I'm not getting in English. I'm getting Hindi everywhere.
Yeah, I will share the English one. I'll go to my
So
Amazon.
Alpana, maybe like long time back, actually, maybe a couple of years back, she actually shared a series of about 15 talks on Vichar Chandrodaya. I haven't gone down to reading all of them or hearing all of them, but
Oh, is it? Okay.
it's in Hindi again, but it's at least in your ear rather than having to read through the script.
In fact, the Kashmiri Shaivism that my guru talks about quite a bit, science of manifestation, exactly goes along these lines. It's a great. I mean, it's a great parallel, but it comes from a slightly different perspective. But this is pretty awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'll talk through a little bit the sound principle, right? The way the Kashmiri Shaivism talks about. See, the space is basically a tatastu, right? So basically, it just whatever is asked for, it gives, right? The sound is the thought current, right? So, for example, all of us have like one level of thoughts we understand, but there is a subtle level of thought current. I'm using the word thought current, which will give us like a sense of, a lot of us will see, I cannot trust anybody, which goes and overrides into a lot of our actions and thoughts, right? So in our core belief, there are some ideas we carry about ourselves. I cannot trust the world. I cannot trust this. Nobody likes me. I am unlucky, right? A lot of those deep, very subtle thought currents we carry on our identity, right? If you just introspect, close your eyes and introspect, who am I? What is good? What is bad? There'll be some things that'll jump at you like on that. So those thought current hit the space, right? And the space manifests those situations again and again and again and again. So what that means is the reality we manifest around us is based on what those subtle thought currents are, right? So, for example, somebody believes he's unlucky with money, he or she is unlucky with money, even though they may be working very hard to earn money, but repeatedly the life will show them that they will not have money, right? It's a very, very, very subtle principle of manifestation. So you manifest what you believe, not what you act or what you desire. So that is a sound principle, because the thought hits the space. Thoughts are nothing but sound. It hits that space, and space is just a tatastu. Then it goes to all the grosser elements and manifests. The air and the earth, and then the reality before you manifest that way. That's the central principle of manifestation that comes in this process. It's very interesting to kind of contemplate. So, which means that anything that happens around you, good, bad, ugly, is all from you. And
how do you differentiate
that being is
that is
empowered.
really
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
I said, how do you differentiate between belief and desire?
See, desire is I want to be healthy, right? But constantly I'm manifesting sickness in my body, meaning somewhere deep down I have a contradicting belief that is manifesting. So wherever desire is, you want to change something, but that is not happening. The actual manifestation is what you believe in, what you believed yourself.
So is this the kind of the thing that you have today, like the affirmation kind of thing?
It's even goes very deep than affirmation. Affirmations can help, That is where
Right.
affirmation is, the science of mantras is in one way an affirmation, right? It's not even an affirmation, it's a healing, right? When
It's a
you chant
process.
Om,
Yeah.
you're kind of overriding the thought current, right? Like that constantly is like deep down telling you and like bad things going to happen, right? I mean, this deep thought current is always bad things going to happen, right? That's where the segregation comes, right? I am seeing the world is different from me. I am different from Ishvara is because I need to protect myself, right? That essence of I need to protect myself from something bad going to happen. That is the foundational piece of the of the disconnect, right? So that is where this comes in. And then the sound of Om can heal. So when you chant constantly, ajaba japa they call it, right? You keep chanting either Shiva 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 or Om Namah Shivaya or Om, whatever. So slowly you are negating the power of that thought current, the sound, with a stronger cosmic neutralizing force, right? And then you start seeing the healing happening, right? Somebody's got a chronic pain. They say you chant Om, it becomes, you're overriding the deeper thought current with the Om that heals the process. So that's why the whole mantra is very powerful manifestation process here. Just because the
No, thank
mantra
you. That's
hits the
helpful.
space. Yeah.
Actually,
Very
just
well said, Mukku. In our tradition of chanting, we also chant one mantra it's called Arogya mantra, and it goes through, the whole panchakoshas and tanmatras, and it's not asking for one element, but all the elements. Get me that light from making sure that I'm not bouncing back and getting my not a good thought, but good thoughts, totally different, right? So that's whatever Alpana explained. I think it's also there in that Arogya mantra from start to end, and it also defines the Manomaya, Anandamaya kosha also. It defines that. So it's very beautifully explained. But how you said it, Mukku, I think it makes sense that the Om, or how we are trying to get ourselves free from all these thoughts and come to a place where there's no thought, no desire. I think we have to peel one by one and go back to the actual Anandamaya kosha. But Alpana, your explanation and again was just amazing. Thank you. Thanks, Mukutu.
Rick?
Well, I just want to say, although I have no disagreement with peeling the onion, I'd rather slice it in half. And in the Gita, I happen to be reading chapter 6, and Krishna is talking about the importance of having a contemplative mind. And he says the only way that you will cure yourself of raga dvesha is to understand that the nature of the self is fullness. Because when you're full, then there's no need to pursue, no need to change yourself or change the world. And when we talk about these underlying concepts, these are the universal issues. Once we identify, ignorance and then error, we identify with the body. We're an individual. We're small. The earth, the world is large, and the forces. And again, the way to, I believe, really slash through all of that is to, as we discussed earlier, if you have the opportunity to be in front of a guru who himself has the vision, let alone the ability to share it, then because you see it's true for the guru, it can be true for you. And that to me is the approach, for at least for me. Not that there isn't work to be done, and not that we all don't do the work, but again, I think it took how many generations to get here? How many do you want to take to get home? Particularly when the truth of the matter is we're never other than who we are. So I'm just, again, fighting for Vedanta.
Actually, just today I was listening to a very arbitrary reel, okay, which came up. And I thought it was very interesting because what that reel actually told me was if you have an issue, it's you. It's you is what has become issue, right? So in a way, the problem is you, the solution is you. So change your thoughts and change your world that you're living in. And I thought that was a great learning today. Yeah, thank you.
And I don't what Rick said, right? So I think the Guru's grace, see the transforming, because all these are, if you can even contemplate deep down more, right? Our belief system through which our thought currents come is all memories, right? Memories from last birth, memories from childhood, sorry, conditioning from this birth. That kind of adds up all to kind of the identity whom we believe, right? Like I'm good at this, I'm bad at this, I'm lucky here, I'm unlucky here, right? I'm calling them as identities, right? Like who I paste labels on myself. And a lot of them are so strong. I think that even though intellectually I understand this through the Vedanta, but I think Guru's grace that Rick talked about, sitting in front, a lot of magic happens there, right? Because we can talk about oneness, we believe, we can contemplate, but the minute a snake drops in your lap, right, you're walking somewhere, that's the proof of it, right? When you naturally respond with oneness, then that is where it has gone into the deeper downs of memory, and that I believe the magic in my experience also happens in front of a guru. The sitting in front of them, just looking at them, the initiations they give, those interactions is where the lubricant that makes this process a lot easier. That's been my experience, and I totally resonate with that sentiment.
It's basically satsang, no, Mukul, in the sense satsang and mahatsang.
Yes.
Your entire spiritual upliftment gets accelerated in their company, right? And it makes a huge difference.
Right. Alpana, closing prayer, please.
Closing. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Hari Om, everyone. Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you all.
Have a great
Hari
week
Om.
ahead. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.